Thank you.
Ah, it's great to have you. Do you
Good
want
to
to
be.
start building the container, Jamal?
Uh, yeah, sure. Checking in.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Um, Mile checking in here. Um, Feeling good. Just come back from the gym. Happy to be here.
I have a little bit of anger.
Looking
I'll put
forward.
because I had a bit of anger. and
Looking forward to today's session and feeling um feeling good spirits and hoping everyone else is too. And I would like to tag, I can't see the names on the screen. I think us,
Hey,
can you check in for me, David? Tag for me,
yeah.
David. I can't see the name.
Hey, Chris.
Hiya, I'm Chris. Yeah, feeling really good. Quite positive. Been for a volunteers interview today, and got it. So that's really good. So my ideas will progressively get heard and something done about it. So it's good. I'll tap Alex.
Is that me?
Yes.
That's you.
Hello, morning, everyone. Yep. Pleased to be here. As always, me and Stan together in this little room at Project 6, likewise. Yeah. Grateful, as always, even when I'm not. I'll do my best to create myself as that. And I'll tag Stan.
Morning, everybody. Stan checking in. A little bit apprehensive. Kind of getting the gist of these meetings now. It's a little bit different today, though, isn't it? I'm used to now our container. Our container's become quite robust over the last sort of 5 or 6 weeks. So this is different. So slightly apprehensive, but eager. And I'll tag Dom.
Good morning, everyone. Dom signing in, checking in even, and I'm feeling quite enthusiastic about today. I had a bit of a worry there for a second. I didn't think my camera was going to work, but it's all good now. And I don't know who's checked in so far, so I'm not sure who to
Dom
pass it
tags
to.
Damien.
Thank you, Dom. Hi, everyone. I'm Damien. Nice to see you all. I was a minute or so late, and I've arrived, and there are a lot more windows open than I've ever seen before on the community of practice on a Tuesday morning. And then I've realised that that the majority of people are people I've seen before, but normally in the same room together. Anyway, so it's very nice to see you all. It's very nice to see your faces up close. And yeah, I'm feeling enthusiastic today. Life's good. The sun is shining where I am, and that makes me feel good. So we're looking forward to today. And is anyone not checked in?
Getzo.
Zoe, I tag you.
Hi there, my name is Ketzel. Yeah,
Oh.
KK. I'm checking in, feeling a little bit frustrated, a bit conflicted. The weather started it was raining this morning. So I was in my little blues vibe. And I've just spent the day kind of reading and yeah, kind of in my head as well. But I'm really grateful to be here. So thank you. And I will tag Zoe.
Good
Morning,
choice,
everyone.
Getzo.
I'm feeling tired this morning and I'm a little under the weather, but grateful to be here. Lisa.
Morning. I'm okay. I've been this is my first time in here for probably a few months now, so it's good to be back. I just need a little bit of refreshing. So good morning, everyone.
Ali, have you been?
No, I haven't been.
Go on then.
I am checking in for the second morning in a row. I've woke up at 4:15 in the morning, wide awake, and so if you see me yawning uncontrollably, that's why. I've just spent an hour on the beach, and then I've just had an hour's phone call with my kind of spiritual advisor. So I've had a great morning actually. Looking forward to this call, and I will tag Liam. Have you been, Liam?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I was just looking at who was online. Got it. Checking in, feel really good. Back at home now after 2.5 weeks away, and I should be careful when I say really good. I've got some after after 2.5 weeks assisting my partner with the passing of her mom. Now I'm facing the possibility of my own mother passing in the next 2 to 3 months. So there's that, but outside of those, I'm feeling well. Who has? Let's see. If I say Jamal, well,
Jamal's gone, so tag Abby.
Abby, I tag Abby.
Morning, guys. Yeah, it's good to be here. Feeling quite excited because there's so many new faces and it's been so long, hasn't it, David? So there's so many new faces. It's nice to see Charlie. It's nice, a bit of reassurance from my Charlie. But I feel quite safe because David's here, so I'm all good. But yeah, just feeling excited and to see what this brings and to see where my journey's going to go from here, if I'm going to carry on volunteering in Norwich, or start something new in Liverpool, or actually ask for some damn money. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's good to be here. Thank you.
And Nick, would you like to check in?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I apologise for my lateness. It was technical ineptitude on my part. I'm feeling okay. I'm a little bit behind the times. I missed last week. I've had a few problems with my broken leg, so I apologise for that. But it is lovely to see you all, and I'm looking forward to today. So thank you. I've missed before, so I don't know who to tag. I don't know who's been and who hasn't.
I've got a feeling that's everyone. Is that everyone? Yeah, okay. All right. Do you mind if I take a screenshot? Does anyone mind if I take a screenshot?
Let me just get my face on.
Yeah, cool. So on the count of 3, just pose to the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see if that goes. Thank you. You're all so willing. Oh, cool. I look stupid. There we go. Great. All right. So, who's new today? Lisa, Abby, KK? Who else? Raise your hand if you're new here today. Yeah, so KK, Lisa's got her hand up. All right. So welcome KK. You're in Cape Town, yes?
Yes, I'm in Cape Town.
Okay, good. All right. So this is the community of practice class where we come together as a community and learn about the skill set of recovery coaching. And it's like rehab. So when people arrive in rehab, they start a program the day they arrive. And some people in rehab have been there 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Yep. And the person comes in and catches up. The way this works is for 20 weeks you need to come to do 2-hour classes, and then you get 40 hours of classroom time where you get to be in the process of recovery coaching. Yep. And Jamal's here. Was this your third week or fourth week, Jamal?
It's my third week.
Third week. Okay. So Jamal was here and straight away he built the container. Yep. So well done, Jamal. The good start there. I said to him, should we build the container? He goes, what must we do? Check in. And that's exactly what we do. So there's some practical experience of creating the container. Yep. So it's a place of practice. And I know you're familiar with these environments, but it's great to have you here. And Abby, you've also just joined us as well. Yep. And Abby, you've been in the community for bloody years now. Yep. But you want to come and get back into things and get a bit of practice for your own skill set and career and where you want to take it from here, which is a bit similar to Lisa. Yeah. So Lisa, let's if you're open to it, if you could just give us a tell us about yourself for a minute or two or three or four. If you go for 10 minutes, I'll jump in, but
I won't be going for 10 minutes. Okay, so I started with the recovery coaching last year when I was volunteering for a Lero called Raw, which is in Kent. Then some stuff happened and I kind of have stepped away from things to kind of work on myself for a bit.
you've just muted, Lisa.
Where did I get to there?
You stepped away for a bit and you had to work.
Yeah, I had to step away for a bit due to some circumstances and needed some headspace myself. And yeah, I'm kind of looking to re-engage with the coaching side and maybe get back involved a little bit more with the Lero.
Great stuff. Thank you. Abby, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I came into this via David and Damien's app in end of 2020, beginning of 2021, which was Pocket Rehab. I don't think it's going any longer, but it was recovery coaching. And there was groups every single night, and the person that was running them was absolutely burnt out and exhausted. And I was wide awake because I was freshly detoxed. And I found myself holding space for a lot of trauma and a lot of really nasty stuff. And I found a very sort of soft, compassionate side of myself that I didn't know I had. And I ended up probably doing about 600 hours of that during COVID. So it was literally all night, every night for like, yeah. And so they suggested that I did the PRS, which I did with lovely Nikki. And then Emma suggested I do the CPRC. And then I had loads of medical stuff happen where I was in and out of hospital. And I kind of gave up. It almost gave up on life. I was just so sick. And I'm just trying to start new beginnings, trying to move house, trying to work on my health. And I came out of a very toxic relationship as well about 6 months ago. So just finding my voice again and my Cockerizachi which I definitely have. There, it's burning. It is. I'm so fired up. And I did I facilitated two courses of addiction. I had to have a police enhanced DBS check and everything, which is a rolling one, so it can be accessed by any organisation at any time. So that was for it's just called the recovery course, and it's I think 13 or 14 sessions, but it's essentially a Christian version, more Christian, of the 12 steps. They just have reworded it basically to fit into the academy, which is run at a Christian facility. So I facilitated two of them as part of a team, but I was the only one with lived experience, and I did 2.5, and then I came to Liverpool where they have like big recovery community, and just trying to get involved in that, but it is like so voluntary, it's really frustrating. So I thought I'd come back and just see if David could point me in the right direction, or I could get some more qualifications or be a systemic wellness practitioner. Paid to do that. Yeah, just something. So I'm here with an open mind and eager to see what this brings. So that's me. Thank you.
Great. And KK, would you like to say something?
Yeah, hi, my name is KK. I am a recovering addict. I came into recovery in 2020. Yeah, I think that was the year. And one of the first things that I noticed was in this recovery space that, all these recovering addicts suddenly wanted to become recovery coaches. And I was like, okay, well, I'm certainly gonna stay away from that. Like that's so like stereotypical, and I don't want to be part of this, the stereotype or whatever. But as the years went on, I just recently started a trauma counseling course, which required me to be a certified counselor. And I figured if I'm going to do coaching, sorry, a certified coach, if I'm going to be doing coaching, then I might as well do coaching in a field that I have experience in, which would be recovery. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm here. And I'm also here to learn from my own journey, as I find it might be helpful having the material with me. Yeah, it's me. Thanks.
Great. All right. Jamil, where should we take the container? Was there any homework from last week?
I wouldn't say any homework. I did start on module 1 of the material, so I guess could I call that homework?
Sure.
Could I call that homework? So yeah, that was interesting. It helped me to understand a little bit more what we're doing here. So the contract, the agenda, the container, and so on, how to build a container. So I found that that's helped me a lot to understand, because at first it is a bit confusing. Anytime you start anything new, it's a little bit confusing. So you're a little bit, you're observing and trying to pick up what you can. So going through the course material, I would say was homework, and it's helped me quite a lot. And it is, I think I feel more confident in myself in doing this, on this recovery coaching journey as well. And I would say, don't know the words, can't think of the words I'm going to use, but I think this is just as much as I think a journey of finding out about myself, as well. I think it was Abby that said something that was interesting, and when she said she realized something about herself that she didn't know that was there, and that was, I think the word she used is a softer side of herself, or compassion, more compassion, I think, um, which I think is a good uh, um not message, but it's it's a good thing. It's a good thing to build on. I think we all are here on a journey to find things out about ourselves, along with obviously learning about recovery coaching.
So, Jamil, what would you like Lisa, Abby, and Kuketso to know about you?
I also went through a journey of addiction. My addiction was alcohol. I through my alcohol abuse, it led to me being partially sighted, so I have a vision impairment. So it affected me uh, really, really, really bad. Sort of it's a lifetime thing. Apart from the traumas, it's left a physical scar as well. And um, but that's really it to know about me, really. I think, yeah.
Right. Thanks, Jamil. Okay. So we're building the container here. We've always want to forward the action and deepen the learning. And so there's always that accountability piece. So was there any homework? Was there something? Now we're looking for the agenda. Yeah. So what should we bring to the container today? What's the container want to talk about? There's a lot of experience here now. The project six people have been. You're more than halfway now. Yes. Is this your fifth class?
Six.
Sixth class. Okay. So they've done the 3 day training, and there's part of their 10 classes to become systemic wellness practitioners. You guys have come a long way. And I must admit, it feels much nicer that you're in little rooms now and squares as opposed to being in that big room with everyone in. So, yeah, what's today's agenda? Lisa.
Hello. I found it quite interesting just to hear from Abby and KK, I think it was, around I think maybe a discussion around like keeping yourself well. Because as coaches, we kind of need to be in the right place to be able to help other people, don't we?
Right. So I'm just going to map that back to the training. Yep. So we start with the conversations and then the continuums. Yeah. So the continuums is to see where we're going. And one of those continuums is high well-being to premature death. And what Lisa's bringing to the container now is how do we keep ourselves well as coaches working in crisis, chaos, and conflict? Wonderful topic. Let's go. So, how do you keep yourselves well is the question. Well, I don't see.
Should I go first? Um, I notice about myself that when I don't get depressed. I was an addict and an alcoholic for over 30 years, and cocaine was my choice of my drug. And now, like 2.5 years into my sobriety, I know why. Like I choose those and my sort of drugs that I choose, because my energy is a very high octane energy. I go up the way. I go very much up. I don't get depressed. Um, and I need to make sure that when I'm up that high, I don't make any big decisions for me. And there was there was a case here where I hadn't seen my dad for over 20 years. And 3 weeks ago, I travelled to Scotland and I went up to see my dad for the first time in 20 years. And it was a marvellous moment and a marvellous day. But what I didn't realise is that the energy that I hold inside me had kept me up there for over a week. I was so high for that week, and that's only natural. But I could not sleep. I could not come down, and it was like I was back on cocaine. Apart from it was like higher than that. It was like this natural octane high, and I'm quite unfortunate, now that I recognise that high, and I recognise, man, that I've got to come back down. And so it was really nice when I started to come back down. And it was a wee bit more like a feather in the wind, actually. It was a wee bit where I just kind of felt myself on the following Saturday, because it took me a week to come down. And it was just my kind of feather in the wind that was just dropping. It was just dropping like a breath of fresh air onto the sand. Um, and then I crashed for about 3 days. Out for about 3 days. But because I recognize in me that energy that keeps me high, that I also recognize that I need to come down. So, and how I keep myself unwell is by my self-care, by my meditation in the morning, or my grounding. I go, man, and I feel the sand in the morning. I touch that ground in the morning just to keep myself, man, grounded. Get myself out, man, and get some fresh air, even if it's like pissing the rain out here. I like to feel the wind on my face. I like to feel that I'm alive. I like to touch and feel things now. And so I think that was a really good point. I mean, Lisa, do you know that? Self-care. How do we keep ourselves well as coaches? And it's my self-care. That's what keeps me well. That really inner self-care that starts every morning. So I just wanted to share that one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Charlie. I have a set of practices that I do regularly. And I know when I'm not doing them because I feel very ungrounded. I have a devotional meditation practice I do in the mornings, and that sets the tone for my entire day. If I don't do that, then I feel like I'm kind of a tree just in the wind. So it's become very important for me to do my devotional meditation practice, and then there's three components to this. I know that if I'm not grounded and connected to nature, I can get a little out of sync with myself. So I do walk I live on the coast in Sunderland, so you'll find me sometimes even taking long walks, 20 or 30 miles up the coast, and that is to settle myself in a way. Walking is a very meditative experience for me. And then also I'm an extrovert. And so I find that if I'm too isolated or in solitude for too long, I start to get a little down. My energy starts to fall. So I purposefully put myself in social settings with my friends. It might be going for a dip in the sea on a Saturday or Sunday morning. This is just part of my self-care. And I know when I'm not doing these, my brain has a tendency to start to wander into all kinds of other areas that it doesn't belong. It doesn't need to go. And I have a
real big one for me is I have a therapist on call, and I use that therapist for my own reflection in terms of having somebody that I can check in with, get some feedback from, and just to make sure that I don't have any blind spots as I'm in my own coaching, and make sure that it's almost like a supervision thing in therapy. In counseling, you have a supervisor that that you check in with, and that person, that's our relationship. For me to check in with them on a semi-regular basis. So I use those four to keep myself grounded and healthy in my own self.
I think what Charlie and Liam said is correct. I think self-care and well-being is really important. Meditation. I think Liam there said about say companions, like friends, stuff. It's good to have a good network of friends that are just very, I would say, positive energy. I find that things like going to the gym helps as well. Good sleep, diet as well. I think what we eat helps us a lot with our well-being. What else? There's I think studies as well show that it's good to have a pet. A pet actually helps if you're into that sort of thing as well. Having a dog or a cat. But
Pets? Do kids count as pets?
Say that again.
Kids?
Kids?
Yeah, do they count as pets?
No, no,
No, pets are better.
I'm just throwing in some humor there, Jamal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Just. Damien's got his hand up. Damien, you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I haven't begun coaching yet, but
Yes, you have.
speaking to friends of mine that have either worked in rehabs or frontline services or as coaches. I was talking to a friend who's a coach the other day, and the advice or the suggestion that always comes back is to maintain one's own recovery in parallel or alongside. And what they seem to mean by that is the work. I mean, it may, I suppose there's an element of service that may be part of an important component of a recovery program, but the work is the work, and it's not one's own recovery. Doing other people's recovery is not one's own recovery. So for me, over 4.5 years, I've built a program for myself. I attend meetings in a 12-step fellowship. I have people that I speak to regularly or every day. I have, like Liam, some devotional practices in the morning and some journaling in the evening. There are things that maintain my own, and I totally relate to Charlie's. Like, I can be quite manic and then depressive, and there's there's things that I do to maintain my own equilibrium and well-being and recovery. And I think going into working with other people in their addiction or their recovery, I suppose it's trying to maintain some separation in a way between the two. Attending a meeting with a client maybe isn't attending a meeting for myself. That's how I expect to go into it anyway. Yeah.
Thank you, Damien. Lisa, what's your takeaway from the container around your question? You kick this off.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to, I think having learnt from the fact that trying to plow on through when you're kind of trying to deal with stuff yourself is a really difficult thing to do. And I think obviously my situation where I felt I needed to step away from things completely to try and get some, kind of balance and things. I've got a lot more understanding now of what is helpful to me and what isn't. And yeah, listening to others, it's kind of like everybody's got their own way of doing things. And again, it's like everything, isn't it? One size doesn't fit all, but we need to know what helps us and keeps us kind of in recovery too. Yeah, so I agree. There's lots of little things that, I love the beach. Charlie obviously really likes the beach. I do the sea dipping, all those kind of things. And it is the kind of day-to-day stuff too. I think I'm very much a guilty person of just kind of plowing on through with certain things and not maybe, using it as a distraction, not necessarily on purpose, but it's just kind of how I've been. But I feel like I've kind of personally readjusted and have a bit more idea now around my needs. So yeah, I would never be able to, it would never sit well with me. You can't like coach people if you're not kind of in the right place yourself.
So all those people that identify as being in recovery, yeah, raise your hand if you're okay to do that.
Oh, I'll raise my hand.
Okay. All right, and all those people that don't recognize themselves as being or identify as being in recovery, raise your hand. All right, so that's everyone, yes? Is that correct? Okay. So we're all in recovery. We all have our stories. And the idea of recovery coaching and professional recovery coaching is we get paid for, hopefully one day, Abby, for showing up in a way where our story becomes valuable for the person that we're working with. Yeah. And because of our story, we need to be able to look after ourselves because we're going into environments that we've kind of come from. So, for example, part of my lived experience was my kids were taken away and put into care. And whenever I work with someone where that story comes up, it triggers me and activates me. It reactivates my trauma from that happening to me. Does that make sense? And unless I can find a place to talk about it, to work it, to look after myself around it, that's going to impact my client. Yep, and impact me, for example. So usually what happens for me is I'll go, oh, fuck social services and fuck all that. My own anger and hurt and judgment comes in and can pollute the relationship. Yeah, I could inadvertently collude with the client. Yep. It's like when I work with a couple and in a male female husband wife relationship, yep, and I'm sitting there talking to them and the wife is moaning about his using and kind of criticizing him. I can feel myself forming an alliance with the husband because I've been through 3 divorces. Yeah. And my own relationship stuff leaks into the relationship. And I just want to say, stop being such a fucking cow, and that monster arises up in me. Yep. And I need to be aware of that as well. And what I loved about Charlie talking about is his elevated mood that he went into. yeah, of going off and rebuilding a relationship with his father, which he hadn't seen for 20 years, and then being able to recognize how that had impacted him psychologically. He was very elevated, and it's taken him some days to come down. I think he used the metaphor of a feather coming down. And I think that's very important for us to be able to have some insight, yeah, to look at ourselves and how we're showing up, yeah, and how the way that we show up might impact the professional role we're in. And are you talking to us, Lisa? Because you're muted. Lisa, you there? No. Oh, some. Okay, cool. So the professional role that we find ourselves in, we need to be aware of that. Yeah. So as far as certification's concerned and going through the process of this stuff, we're watching to see how you guys show up as well. So, for example, talking to Lisa this morning about her coming back to the classes and everything and wanting to get certified and the accreditation, we're going to take the judgment call that Lisa did very well in jumping off of the training because her head wasn't in the right place because of what was happening in the environment. Does that make sense? That feels like a healthy professional response. Sorry, I'm quite excited. I can feel myself starting to foam at the mouth. I think I feel like a grown-up. Shit, that's traumatic.
It's
Yes,
fun.
very.
It's interesting. Sorry, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You kind of.
Come in, Lisa.
It's interesting you kind of saying it like, because for me, I felt so guilty and felt a lot of shame in walking away at the time and needing to do that. I felt really selfish about it and stuff too. So, you know, to hear it kind of put in a different way is quite helpful, to be honest, for me.
Good. Good. And if it's right to talk about this, Lisa, that when you are working with someone and you're filled with guilt and shame around that relationship, it's not bringing your best self to the party, is it? Yeah. Um, and look, I'm fucking please. I have fucked up in this area. Like when I've opened the rehab back 20 years ago, I thought it was a place to employ all my sponsees. Yep, so I had loads and loads of sponsees, and then they all started running the rehab. We all started running the rehab. It was a fucking blind leading the blind, and then you tell someone to like they got a job to do, and then you're hurting my feelings and you're triggering my step four stuff, and you're meant to love me. Okay. The boundaries and the roles were so enmeshed, and oh my gosh. So, so like I love all this peace, love, and brown rice stuff that we're all in recovery, but also we got to kind of like, remember that this is a professional role that we're showing up in, even if you're a volunteer. Yeah. One of the challenges sometimes with working with volunteers is when it comes to holding people accountable. Yep. Certainly people at my rehab, they'll go, well, I'm just a volunteer. I don't have to do that. I'm not getting paid for this. No, mate. It's not about whether you're getting paid or not. It's about you showing up in a professional role. Is that making sense? Now I can feel myself getting quite animated around this. Chris, do you want to come in with some of your wisdom in your car seat there?
It's getting warm and sweaty.
Okay, thank you for sharing something so personal.
Well, for me, it's just talking to people and getting anything what has potentially got on your chest and just relieving that trigger behind it all and having that really close network of friends that you can just say absolutely anything to. And no, there's no judgment behind it at all, and just knowing when to step away.
What's the difference between being in a friendship with someone, being sponsored by someone, and having a boss or a manager or a colleague?
How do you mean, in what aspects?
So they're different roles. Yeah. So I will go to at the end of the day, and I'll talk to a friend about work. It's going to be very different when I speak to my boss about work.
Yeah, professionalism.
Yeah, there's that. That's like, and I think at times we also need to like understand what the role is calling for.
Right.
Yeah. So to give you an example, I did some. I'm working with the University of Zambia, working with the youth there. Yep. And to try and get these young black Zambians to come to a a a container and to talk about what's going on was very difficult last week because there were four old white men there. Yeah. And the four old white men were sitting there and we were quite comfortable talking. And then me and Rabson afterwards thought, shit, this isn't good for the container because of the old white men. So this morning when it came to building the container, I had to kind of say, old white men, go. You need to leave, Alex. I see you waving there.
Yeah, I've just been silly. Trying to, we wanted to raise our hand, but we couldn't find it on screen. So I started going like that.
Oh, okay.
Can I
So let
speak?
me just let me just
Yeah.
finish and then I'll jump to you. So I had to take the brave risk this morning of kicking them out, kicking the old men out and saying, guys, listen, sorry, this is difficult for me to do that, but my role here is to create a safe space for the youth so we can hear what it is that they want to bring to the container. Please, can you go? But can we not just sit here and watch in silence and things like that? No, you need to leave. Yep. And it was hard for me because it's like, oh God, I know what it's like to be kicked out and I don't know this and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, sorry, maybe I've gone a bit off topic here. Alex, rope me back in.
Come on.
There we go.
Back in the room. Me and Stan were just having a bit of a side conversation then about what the difference is between a sponsor and a coach, and to get everybody's ideas and definitions of what that is. We think that'd be helpful for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll put my 2 cents, my belief in there first, and then I'll open it up to the container. So for me, a sponsor is somebody who goes into a mentorship type relationship, which basically the sponsor has more experience with working the steps, and their role is to teach the sponsee the steps. Yep. So that the sponsee can then go and help somebody else to go and help the newcomer, and that there's a chain, for want of a better word, of where one person helps the other person for spiritual reward. So I'm going to help you because it's going to help me with my spirituality and to keep me sober. That is what the payment is. Yeah, that's what a sponsor does. What a coach does, a recovery coach, is sits down with someone whether they've got an addiction problem, alcohol problem or not, and just sits and coaches with them. Where the coach sits here in support of the coachee. Yep. So the coach is in a supportive role. That's my take on it. I'm going to open it up to the floor and I'm going to go for a pee because I'm busting. So Who's going to hold the space? Charlie, you tell her. You know this space well.
Does anybody else want to come in and add what David's just said?
Yeah, I
Abby,
will,
you
Charlie.
put your hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my experience, this is just my own experience. Sponsors have become like wannabe social workers, key workers, support workers, on call 24/7. It's just been an absolute mess. This is my experience of two of the fellowships. Um, I've had friends that are sponsors and they're managing appointment times and hospital things and I'm like, that your job is just to take them through the steps. That's all you're meant to do. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's just become an absolute mess. And these sponsors also do some very messy step fours, which have been really messed about with. The step fours have been taken out of the book and worksheets and booklets been made up and it's gone really deep. And I feel like I've seen people being taken through a step four by people that can't hold space, they're not trauma informed, and they are essentially being re traumatized. I've told you this, Charlie, before, haven't I? But it's just because the mess is leaking out everywhere and it's not being contained at all. That it's really sad to see. But and then again, these sponsors trying to get detox beds, navigate hospital appointments, and make people show up for these things. And I'm like, you just meant to do the steps with them. That's all the sponsor is. You just take them through the steps, and then they take someone else through the steps. And if you get stuck, you ring them and say, "Oh, bit stuck on step two. Can you give me some advice on how to navigate step two with this sponsee I've got?" That should be as far as it goes, and it's just got into a complete mess. And I'm kind of done with it. I mean, I still sponsor people, but I don't. If trauma comes into it, I say, can you see a therapist? Because I'm not a qualified trauma therapist. I'm trauma informed twice by two organisations, but I'm not a trauma therapist. I did 2 years counselling at uni, but I didn't do my third year, so I'm not qualified. So I'm not gonna, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna do something that I'm not qualified to do. And all these sponsors telling people not to take medication. I was on medication for my heart and I was told I shouldn't be taking it. My heart, after uh, about COVID, my heart went funny, and I just thought, I cannot believe you're not a doctor. Have you been to med school for 7 years? Anyway, I'll leave that for the container. So it really frustrates me. I think sponsors should know that they're sponsors and not social workers. And I'm not being funny. If you've not been to university and you've not studied, don't do something you're not qualified to do. That's all I'm saying.
No, Stan! Did Stan run away? No! Oh!
Yeah, he's had to go. He's got another role that he's now going to go and be in. So he just said if anybody asks, that's where he's gone.
I need to go off to a coda meeting now. I'm feeling all codependent on Stan. Thank you,
Thank you.
Abby.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. So there are lots of there's lots of negative things that have happened with lack of role clarity, and there's lots of wonderful, 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 wonderful things that have happened because of lack of role clarity. And yeah, so my personal feelings on this is that I was a 12-step Nazi, and the 12 steps really saved my life. Yep. And that really worked for me. And I like to think of that part of my life. I was kind of in the moral realm of addiction recovery. Yeah, the disease concept, the spiritual malady, that sort of stuff. And then I moved into more into the disease model and the psychiatric treatment medical model side of things. And then in 2008, I really moved into the wellness model, which is really what we're doing here, where there's multiple pathways to recovery, giving the person agency, and that's my that's the place that I like to work in. Yep. And doing that, I look at people as well and kind of see where they are in that. Yep. So Abby mentioned a Christian organization, so I will put that in the moral space, and that they were kind of working the steps, but they just reworded it for Christianity. You know, Christianity and Islam have got a lot of people off of alcohol and drugs, whether you like it or not. I mean, Islamic religion is haram. So you cannot, like, as a form of recovery, yep, that works. If you look at it from a medical perspective, that's a whole other different story around it. And some people are really like, I hate AA, I hate God, I hate, don't do that, I want something more practical and scientific. Yep. And then people can go and get kind of multiple pathways to what that is. What we need to be aware of here in this container is the bias, the unconscious bias that we might have here, because we've all identified as being in recovery. For all we know, we've got some doctor out there watching the recording going, oh, yeah, look at those people there. That was a joke, people. God, you're a tough crowd. Okay, should we take a 5-minute break and come back? Normally we would split Project 6 up, but seeing as you're all here today, stay on the screen, we'll keep it together. Does that work for you, Zoe? Yep, Zoe is speaking for the whole of Project 6. Know your place. Zoe is the queen.
Yep, I am.
Yeah, you tell them. All right, everyone, take a 5-minute break. I know Nick will want a cigarette, and yeah, or a vape, a cigarette. There we go. All right. Elisa, did you want to check out?
Yeah, I can do. It's just I have another meeting. So thank you. It's been really nice to come back actually this morning and just kind of be in the zone. So thank you for letting me rejoin.
Great, thank you. Will we see you next week?
I will see what my diary is doing. So
Okay,
yes,
great.
if possible, yes.
Yeah, so come and jump in and out as you need to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, love.
Cheers,
Later.
David. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See everyone in 5 minutes.
Bye, Bum.
5 past.
Is that a fender, Nick?
Right. Alex has changed rooms. Stan's left. Lisa's checked out. Zoe looks comfortable lying with her head on the couch there.
I was just
Yeah.
smashing some lunch.
Charlie's eating. Great. All right. Who would like to build the container? One at a time, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on,
Yeah, it's
Dominic.
Dom
Get
checking
in
in.
there, mate.
I'm finding the topic quite interesting today of the difference between the sponsor and the recovery coach, because to be quite honest, I need to talk to Stan or someone who's actually in the sponsor program and stuff, because I don't really understand it. It's not the way I came into recovery. So yeah, and I'm really enthusiastic about finding that out. And I'll tag Alex.
Thank you, Dom. Yeah, likewise as well. I'm finding that provoking in some way, interesting things coming up about like the dynamics and relationships and our own activations and triggers. And I've always found that the most helpful thing to do when I've been working with somebody is to be totally transparent with it in a way that's helpful, to say like, so keeping one eye on what's happening in my body whilst I'm holding space for the person in front of me, because I've found that actually there's a lot of wisdom in what's happening in my body, and it can inform maybe like a question that I ask next based on what I'm feeling inside my body, or a share, or maybe I can ask permission if it'd be okay for me to be a little bit vulnerable in that space too. And there's lots of options. It's not, the crux of what I'm saying is there's a lot of wisdom in the body. Basically, I think when we're in addiction, we spent a lot of time in the head, in thinking and ego, chasing something and running around. We're in that world there. And in my experience, what's been helpful is to come down here a bit, spend a bit of time in my heart, solar plexus, and just in the body, and exploring that as an alternative. So I've really enjoyed it this morning. Thank you, everyone. Yes, and I will tag Charlie.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, that was very interesting what you were saying there. About keeping one eye on the body. I didn't realize that my internal being was more important than my exterior being. And I also sponsor quite a lot. And I'm a professional coach, Joey Malney. So I've got them both of those hats, and I set up AA groups as well, which is a privilege. Um, and I've had to wear my both hats as well. I love sponsoring. I love going through the steps. I have a love-hate relationship with the fellowship, but I love the 12 steps. The 12 steps to me is spiritually my gateway into why I became a coach. And the the 12 steps have given me a gateway, and then it's up to me how far I want to go in that gateway. Do I want to stop at the gateway and just stand still with the fellowship? Then by all means, if that's what you want to do, then that's absolutely brilliant. But for me, you know, I want to keep on walking through those gates and just seeing you can just see what happens. And with the kind of coaching world, which I found completely different from my sponsorship, as David had saying that teaching my role is we take my sponsees through these spiritual steps. I found coaching has been a whole different sort of learning actually, and I love the analogy where and I use this quite a lot. Where the client is here and the coach is here. It's not coach or in the AA, it's mentor and no, it's sponsor and sponsee. Well, we kind of swap that around, and it's client and coach, and we're learning from the client. And I found that approach to be absolutely breathtaking, and to see that person as a person, and that has helped me in relapse as well, because I've never relapsed with touch. Thank God, but I've been around loads of relapse where I'd be like, right, that person's in a relapse. You're back to day one. You've got to start this all over again, and no, 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 and then you kind of see them walking into AA and tail between the legs and all this stuff. Where coaching, I found, is a completely different approach, and to me, it's the approach that's my golden line that runs through me actually. Because I see that person as a well-known person. I don't see it as relapse. I see it as I see that as just part of recovery. The person's made a mistake, he bounces back and we get back on with it. So my aim and world and my coaching world, they're interlinked, but they are different. And I wear them on both hats. But I love wearing both hats because I love recovery and I love being around this. I know that was a bit of a long check-in, so sorry. I will go with Zoe.
Thank you, Charlie. I've been enjoying this morning. Speaking about looking after your own well-being, I've just taken a little step back this morning. I've just been sat because I really don't feel very well. So my self-care has been sat here wrapped up in a blanket with my head on my pillow, just listening to all of you talking. But I like what Charlie's just said about, I think with like mentoring, and I found this with other people. I didn't go through the 12 steps. I did like 8 months on my own and then found that I needed some more help. So I did it pretty much like solitary for quite a while. But I do find that people that I've spoken to within that have done 12 steps, that it is very much that if they've relapsed or lapsed, it's the tail between the legs and the kind of coming back in, sort of feeling a little bit like dejected and stuff. And whereas when I see somebody who's lapsed or relapsed, I just see it as it's a learning curve. It's an absolute learning curve. Well done. You've lapsed. Great. I'd take my hat off to you, because I did it and I learned more from lapsing and then relapsing than I've ever learned from anything. And I like to take that stance on it. I don't think it's oh God, you're here again. It's okay, then where do we go from here? Where's next? So I think with you saying that, Charlie, that's really interesting, that there's the two worlds sort of collide slightly. And for me to be aware of that also when I'm taking that into my own practice, that I probably do feel a little uncomfortable around the 12 steps. But then that's for me to educate myself more. But yeah, I've really enjoyed so far this morning. I'm sorry I've just not really said anything. I've got woman flu, so you'll have to excuse me. Can I tag Nick, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's been really interesting. I also have had no experience of the 12 steps. Well, I got a copy of the black book, the blue book, black book, and got about halfway through it and threw it away because it just made me really angry. But if someone was to come to me now and say, should I try AA, I would say, of course you should. It's not my job to tell people what's the right path and what's the wrong path. Different things work for different people, and you should try everything when you first come into recovery, in my belief. I'm just there to facilitate that person and help them find that pathway to health and well-being in the long term. I've also got a book. I don't know, Don might be interested in this. It's a book about distinguishing between the addiction counselor, the recovery coach, and the 12-step sponsor. So the research I've been doing on that's been really, really helpful, because there are just kind of little shades of difference in some areas, and yet there are bigger and more dramatic differences in other areas. So I'll bring that book in for Don to. He's welcome to have a look at it, and when I've done with it, yeah, that's me. Thank you. I'll nominate Chris.
You're right. I second everything what Zoe said. It's like a lapse is like a deeper understanding, learning of what went wrong and just the whole mental aspect of it all. And you do learn so much more each time. And one of my friends is massive into AA and she's doing 12 steps, but it just doesn't work for me. When she's on a certain step, she proper hyper focuses on it, and I personally think it just destroys her, especially when she were on step 4 and things like that. And relapse is part of your journey. It's part of life. You shouldn't start from the beginning. But it's a deeper learning, deeper understanding of yourself. So, yeah, it's been good. So I'll tag Jamil.
Thank you. Yeah, checking in. I've really enjoyed the conversation, especially this one about sponsorship. But it's not something that I know much about. I've gone to a couple of meetings in the past. It wasn't for me. I think like Zoe, I was better off recovering by myself. And I do agree, everyone should do whatever works for them. You should try different things. And also, I found interesting as well what David said earlier about when he would have clients and certain things would trigger him to his own personal experiences. And understand, recognizing it and having the discipline to not bring it into your coaching sessions. I found that very interesting as well. But definitely sponsorship is something that I think after listening to this is something that I think I need to go away and study and research more. And I would like to tag I think Liam. I'll tag him Liam.
Is that called a tag back? I think I'm more or less in listening mode. Years and years ago, it's been since 1996, 95 for me. I did try a group 12-step process back then. And again, it didn't fit for me. But I had a strong support around me at the time, and a very incredible therapist at the time. But so I'm just in a listening mode, listening to everybody just kind of express how they've experienced and their viewpoints between sponsorship, coach. I've been a life coach for 18 years, mostly in the rehab environment. So that's what I know, and my brain is probably got maybe these little blinders on about what else is possible for people and that sort of thing. So I'm really just in a listening mode at the moment. I'll tag Damien because he's been quite quiet today.
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, I found today quite challenging. I found it quite challenging to hear other perspectives today. I find this container very interesting because the majority of people have not been through a 12-step program. That's not my usual experience of recovery. A lot has been said about 12-step programs that I do not recognize. So I find that very challenging. Found it hard to listen to Abby's experience of sponsorship until I reminded myself that that's her experience. It's not my experience at all, but I totally validate Abby's experience of sponsorship. And I think it's a great shame that was her experience and that she's come across very unboundaried people. My experience of sponsorship has been overwhelmingly positive. I ended a relationship with a sponsor after 12 months because I did feel that the relationship had got unboundaried and I had grown out of that. But the ending and the choosing what I did need from my next sponsor was an enormous growth for me. I think sponsorship is, as David mentioned, it's a spiritual relationship, a very deeply personal spiritual relationship of one addict helping another. And the idea behind it, as Abby also said, is that we take each other through the steps, and the program in NA and in AA is written in literature. I've got a great friend who says, if it's not in the book, it's not the program. You're just listening to the opinion of a fucking drug addict, So there's an element where we're just two people trying to navigate our recovery with the benefit of this literature that's been handed down by predecessors, a lineage, as someone else mentioned. And it's a very beautiful thing. I think what I'm taking from the conversation today and where I am in my process at the moment is that realization, of course, it's not always for everyone, and people are at different points in their journey and doing different things work. I have someone from one of my groups who has approached me and they're finding it quite difficult to identify with other members in the group. And he said very kindly, I'm the only person he identifies with, and he'd like some help. And it would be unethical of me to do anything other than to try to help him to navigate his way through the 12 steps. But this coaching framework is helping me to have that conversation with him in a different way. You know, try 7 meetings in 7 days, and then let's see where we are, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's, in a way, I think it's really helping me to be a better fellow and a better potential sponsor, to think that actually, but because I guess the point about the 12-step program is like there is one way to recover. We navigate our way through that at different paces, at different times, in different ways, and our understanding of it evolves and all the rest. But essentially, there's a program contained in a book and a lineage, and that's what we do. So I think it's very interesting that we here identify that there are other ways to recover and there are other things that might land. And I would always say that my recovery journey began long before I came to my first NA meeting. I would say 10 years before. And I had 10 years of relapse and trying to do it, you know, on my own and trying to control my using and all the rest of it. And then finally I found the 12-step program, and I kind of surrendered to that, and it really worked for me. But those 10 years weren't wasted. And maybe that's what I get a little bit from the coaching. It doesn't mean everyone has to get to a point of needing 12 steps, but it does, you know, I do recognize the continuum, and people can be at different places, and maybe an intervention at different points or in different ways. So yeah, I'm still slightly trying to understand this idea of the sponsors here and the sponsees there and the coaches here. I don't really quite understand that isn't really landing for me. But maybe as I continue my coaching journey, I'll understand that dynamic better.
Who still needs to go?
Sorry, I need to tag someone. KK, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is KK. I'm checking in. I think I'm feeling overwhelmed by so much information that is being shared here. Yeah, it's like just kind of in my mind trying to keep track with everything that everyone has said, and I think everyone has said so many valuable parts as well. I think also in my 5-minute break, I was kind of reconfronted with my reality of, like, you know, I'm living in a sober house, and for anyone who has lived in a sober house, you know, the fucking chaos that happens, you know, when addicts are living together. And yeah, so those 5 minutes was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get myself a freaking apple and get the hell out of here and back to this room. Yeah, so yeah, just kind of grounding myself again in the space. I mean, I've loved what everyone has said about the 12 steps, as well as the fellowship. I think the fellowship is a great resource to get connected once again with people who can relate to you, you know, and people who will understand you without judgment, which I think is so important, especially in recovery, is that, you know, when you speak to people who aren't in recovery, you know, they some of them struggle to relate and understand your perspective. And I think that I've really appreciated the fellowship, because I can just say whatever the hell is on my mind, without that judgment or that not that lack of understanding. And how I've been going about like keeping well while learning about coaching is focusing on my physical, my intellectual, my emotional, and my social and my spiritual, you know, and doing things like going to the gym. I really love that idea. Going to the gym, going swimming, those going dancing, which has really helped me get in touch with my physical self, you know, get in touch with my health as well. Going to the doctor, going to the dentist, like really working on my physical health and working on my intellectual health. Education is a great one, like working on like learning, being curious, finding new places, new books, I'm not a reader, but this round in recovery, I started reading, read 2 books this year. I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe it. And my emotional, it is going to my counselors, going to the fellowships, you know, like really working on my emotions. You know, I've kind of been faced with the reality that I don't really show my emotions at all. I love having like a deadpan face. And it used to be one of my skills, be like, oh, people can't really read my emotions, or people can't see that I'm really upset by what they've just said because I just have this blank face. But like also seeing how it affects me, it's like, you know, when I'm confronted with something, I bottle it up and then I'm resentful and then I don't want to talk to anybody and but yeah, just learning to get connected and saying, listen, like in those 5 minutes, I was really stressed out, and you know, I'm overwhelmed by an emotion, but by the information that's shared here. But I'm really grateful to be here in this space. And then my social is the meetings, shared meals with people, you know, going to new places, new things. And then the spiritual is, I always put down meditation, but I don't know how to meditate. So finding other ways, which is like the 12 steps. Because I found so much value in that, you know, as much as I think, oh no, sometimes I don't really want to do my steps. Like I can see that when I do my steps, it really does help. It really does help. And at the moment, I don't know of any other places that have helped or other things that have helped. So I'm going to stick with this while seeing my psychologist, while seeing the psychiatrist, while, you know, having these, like everything kind of just works in combination for me. And that's, yeah, my other thing is like free movement dancing for 3 hours in a community. Like that is my spiritual, that's where I feel most connected with myself. So yeah, that's me. Thank you for allowing me to share. I'd like to tag Abby. Have you gone?
Yeah, hi guys. Checking in, feeling very thoughtful. I just wanted to say to I think it was Damien, I do still attend meetings daily, usually on Zoom, and face to face when I'm in Liverpool. And it's more for the connection and the fellowship. Because some meetings I find very toxic. It's just like where everyone dumps their crap kind of thing and then just leaves. Um, but I have to say I have had some very good experiences as well. I have a wonderful sponsor now, and I also have like a spiritual guru who unfortunately is in America. And he sends me stuff every day to read. He's a professor at a university. He's in recovery himself. So I wanted like a David, but David's just too blooming busy. So I got a spiritual mentor to just kind of guide me a bit. But yeah, I'm active in CA. I have sponsees, I have a sponsor, I do service. But if you sent me an addict and their family had enough money, I would put them in coaching and maybe rehab before I put them in the 12 steps. I see the 12 steps as an addition to my recovery. So I see it as a tool, an extra tool in my tool belt. So I built my recovery in the containers, and that's where I learned to build recovery capital. And I've not relapsed since. And I couldn't get 4 hours. I couldn't get 4 hours without using before. So I feel like the containers is what the recovery capital is my foundation, and I feel like that's my everything. But the steps has been brilliant. It's been a spiritual pathway, but coaching can be a spiritual pathway too, you know. But I would totally recommend clients to go to 12-step fellowship, so they've got that identification and they've got that connection. You know, they've got that identity. You know, they've got people in there in the same boat as them, and they're working the steps together. And there are some wonderful, really powerful meetings with really powerful people that do wonderful shares. But some of it becomes a popularity contest with spinning the wheel and music, and just it becomes a real popularity contest of who can get the most people in their meetings, the biggest meeting, and you get, if you ask a question, you get screamed at. Page 54 of the big book says this, you ought to do this. And I just think, do you know what? Go and do one, mate. Sorry. That's just ridiculous. Just absolutely F off. I'm sorry, I'm not having that.
No, we like that.
But
what did you like about that, Zoe? Hang on a sec, Abby. I'm just going to jump in here.
Go on.
I like the fact that she knows what works for her. I think that's brilliant. And yeah, and actually we're all right to say no, fuck off. When something's not working for us or when we don't agree with it. I think sometimes when we're in recovery, we're looked at as though we should be taking everything on board and we should do this and we should do that. No, recovery is about what works for us. It's completely individual. We're always told to keep in his own lane. You know, it's our recovery. So I'm always up for somebody telling somebody else to fuck off if it's something that isn't working for them. I think that's the power of our own recovery, is that we know what works, and it's fine to say that. So yeah, you just amuse me. Thank you. That cheers me up.
Zoe's alive. She's come back to life.
Sworn. Abby's great. I'm loving it.
Zoe, you totally validated me, so I feel very good right now. Thank you for that validation.
Okay, what went on for you? You gave it a bit of a shimmy there, and
no, I'm in full support. I think it's wonderful that Abby knows what she likes and what she doesn't like, you know, and that she can still find value in other places, in other communities, while like letting go of the rest. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Jamil, you also gave a big smile at Abby's finger.
Yeah, same really, just to echo KK and Zoe. Everyone should be allowed to do what they want to do, and yeah, if you want to say fuck off to someone, then why not?
So it was the way that Abby's voice put down a boundary that you liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the way that Abby was able to say, I don't like what you're doing, and giving them the finger.
Yeah, and it just reminds me as well of my own experience with that stuff as well. So just in agreement, nodding in agreement. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'm very much like Damien, in the sense that, like, I was so surprised that there was another way other than the 12-step stuff when I first came along to this. I was like, what? There's another way? You fucking mad. No, that's heresy. You must be joking. Yeah. And listening to everyone here that identifies in recovery, that has done a different path than 12-step, for me is also surprising and refreshing in a way. It feels refreshing to me. Alex, you got your hand up?
Yeah, great shares, everyone. Thank you. What came up for me amongst that was sort of thinking about my own spiritual evolution, if you want. And it's sort of like in and out of 12 step. I love to read the literature and how it's written. But then some meetings kind of, you know, hot and cold, like take it or leave it sort of stuff. But I've been able to develop spiritually in other ways, and you know, it's a pretty broad subject, isn't it? Spirituality, you know, there's lots of different things you can explore within that to help your recovery. Other than, 12 step is an invention in its own thing that come from India or somewhere. You know, it's not an original thing. It's an idea that someone had, and they put it in a book, and then it became popular. But spirituality predates 12 step. So it's just kind of like an insight that I had for myself that I wanted to share.
Okay. So, Dominic, how's your container going? Summarize what we've learned here.
Yeah, so we're learning that that it's all right for everyone to have their own different route through recovery.
So multiple pathways of recovery. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
Well, I just feel that everyone's communicating well.
Okay. So you've built a robust container. People are
Yeah.
feeling safe putting their opinions there. I couldn't agree with you more. I love the way Damien articulated his viewpoint and where he came from. And then I love the way that Abby was able to express her authentic self. And that just tells me that you've created a great container here where people are able to bring their true voices here. Because the reality is, like Zoe Koketso and Jamil all resonated to Abby going, "Fuck you, don't tell me what to do," which is so I'm gonna say the psyche of the addict, for want of a better word. And actually humans don't like being told what to do. But if we can support someone in coming up with a decision of what they want to do and be supportive, that is very helpful.
Could I say as well, like addiction is a bit like rebellion in many ways, and we're
Completely.
using that rebellion to kick back against recovery in the end.
So the Dame Carol Black report came out, and one of the questions from there is, how come there are more drugs in prison than there are in recovery rooms?
Because people want to be in a recovery room. People don't want to be in jail.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So putting people in jail because they take drugs is fucking stupid. Sorry, I can feel my kokorozashi going off again. There we go. Okay, what else, Dominic?
I'm struggling, to be quite honest.
It's not so easy holding the container, huh?
No, it's not. It's very much a lot easier to build a container, is what I'm learning. And when you've got such a large container, you've got to try and remember what everyone said.
Right.
And some people, I've noticed when people start to gesticulate and stuff like that, you tend to take in more, because we looked at body language and other ways of and tonality and stuff like that, which affects how we engage with people and what we remember.
So there's a big learning there. So just when you thought you didn't have anything to add, there's a hell of a lot there. Listening levels 1, 2, and 3. You've gone through the process of trying to hold this space, which can be like trying to herd cats at times. You've had to listen more intently, which is hard work. Wonderful. Yeah. What do you think you could have done better?
I'm not really sure what I could have done better because it seems to have turned out a lot better than I thought it was.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And that's the self-doubt that we all have.
Does anyone want to give Dominic some feedback around holding the container? No. In fact, let's. Dominic, are you open to some feedback from your colleagues?
I'd love some.
Okay. Dominic would love some feedback. Have you got any feedback for him?
Today's container was a good container. I think it was well held. I think I've really enjoyed today, as much as I've not felt great. I've really enjoyed sitting back and taking on everybody else's opinions and what's been said. Again, what Abby said really resonated with me. And yeah, I think well done, Dominic. You've done good.
Thank you.
For me personally, it was the way that and Dominic and then Alex brought the topic back in again instead of just me letting it go, because I did feel as if it was unresolved in the first half. So it was nice to bring that man back in and then get everybody. So it actually went round. Everybody had an opinion on it. Everybody had a say on it, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, it was a really good container this morning, and I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was it's good to know, isn't it, the difference between coaching and sponsee. Thanks, Dominic.
Cheers.
All right. Well, let's start to wrap this up. Yep. So just before we do a checkout with a feeling, what's the one thing that you're taking away this week? And but before we do that, the most important thing of the first coaching session is the client comes back for the second session. No matter what happens, is the client going to come back? Yep. So KK, are you going to come back next week?
Yes, I will come back. Same time, same place.
Abby, are you going to come back next week? Right. All right. So let's see if they do. If not, we're going to be sending Zoe round.
I wanted to ask, so okay, you said the most important thing is that the client comes back. Yes. Do we straight up ask them like you just did with Abby and I?
Well, I only did that with you and Abby because I know you both, and we have a long history, and I really both want you two out there doing this stuff and to stop staying small in this world. The world is fucking on fire, and we need you. Yep. So that's my agenda coming in. Yep. Somebody who's never been in one of these containers, I wouldn't be as direct because it takes time. But I do know you both, so that's why I asked you directly. And that is my agenda.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. And yeah, it makes sense why you asked directly. So with a client, would you kind of just be like, okay, well, let's book our next session? Would that be an approach or
What's the answer to that question, KK? Did he just freeze?
yes?
KK?
No, I did not. Can you hear now?
Yeah, it's just breaking up a bit. Okay, it's a bit of a fuck up there. All right, we'll come
In and
back
out.
to. Yeah, it's coming in and out. So we'll let your internet stabilize a bit. Let's go. Oh, he's gone. Oh, there he is. The screen's moving around. Nick, you're in my top left-hand corner. So if I can pick on you first, because the kind of the westernized heteronormative world goes from left to right to the top right-hand corner. So my mind is, could you go first?
Yeah, not a problem. Are we just checking out now?
Just something that you've learned, and then we'll do a checkout.
What have I learned? What have I learned? I've learned that I've got a lot of learning to do,
Great.
which is brilliant. The day I wake up thinking I know it all is the day that I've got to pack it in. So I've got some ideas about what I need to look at, where my knowledge gaps are, how I fill them, and how I relate to them. So I'd like to thank you all for that. That's been it's been very, very interesting today.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, every day's a learning day, and you just take from it what actually resonates with you that you can put across in the best manner, really. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Is that me?
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah. Taking away like a reminder to allow people to be as they are when we sit with them in a container, in a space, however they show up, whatever they show up with is accepted and welcomed without any agenda coming from me about what we've got to do, what we can't do, what we can do. I don't need to create any value. I don't need to fix or solve any problems. I just need to be with that person and whatever's in their world, which is what I got from today. And
I'm just going to call everyone out, and then we'll do a checkout.
Yeah, I suppose today for me has been about multiple pathways to recovery again, and so yeah, maybe partly yes, validating multiple pathways to recovery, meeting people where they're at, and actually to echo what Nick said, I think before I would be with a client, I probably need to educate myself a little bit about some of those multiple pathways and what other resources might be available if the way that I know very well isn't for them or isn't for them right now. Yeah.
Paddy.
Yeah, I've learned that I don't have to agree, disagree about someone's recovery. It's their experience, and quite like learning that it's up to the individual. It's not up to me. Thanks.
Zoe.
That recovery is indeed a unique thing to each individual, and there are different steps and different journeys that people will take to get there.
Yeah. KK.
Oh, kind of what I learned was like the effects of body language and how you can use that to listen and remember what all the information that's being carried. I think Dominique shared very briefly about that. So that kind of just sat with me.
Dominic. Okay. Dominic's frozen, and now the screen's moved. Okay. Abby.
I think that it's okay to have such a big container, and it can still feel very safe to express your authentic self. And I've also learned people can, have such different opinions through multiple pathways or 12 steps. And that's okay. and it just felt like a very safe space. And it's been I thought it would be quite overwhelming with so many new faces, but I've actually felt very relaxed and calm throughout the whole thing. So that's taught me the value of coaching and how, when you create the space, how it just flows organically. So yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Can anyone lip read?
Oh, me?
No, that's
Um,
there we go, Liam. No, hang on, Jamil.
oh, sorry, sir.
Liam's going to go first.
Okay.
Yeah, I am probably voice the same thing everybody's saying. In my experience of this work over the last number of years, it's highly individualized. Nobody gets to dictate, other than the person, how what recovery is going to look like, and we're the ones that need to make the adjustment, not the person in recovery. And I'm reminded of a situation with Jesus in the Bible. He was having a conversation with some of his apostles because they were complaining about some individuals who were evangelizing in the name of Jesus. And they thought they were doing it all wrong and would lead the people astray. And he said, why are you worried about that? So long as it gets them so long as it gets the people where they need to go, which is to see the light, in other words. And so it's obviously not a new thing that we get challenged with this idea that one way is the best way, but all ways are the best way because it is highly individualized. So that's what I've taken away from this.
Wow. Jamil, you're up, mate.
Taken away today is the importance of well-being, and that everyone has their own ways of keeping well, and that there's different ways to achieve recovery and to I guess tailor it to how you feel comfortable doing it. And that this has been a good container today, a good dynamic. Everyone has their opinions and get on very well. That's me.
Thanks. And Dominic, let's try you again.
Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. The fact that I didn't know stuff about sponsorship, so I was consciously incompetent about that.
Yes, fantastic.
And as I went through the stages of making the container and then carrying it on, where I became unconsciously competent.
Yeah, good for you, Dominic.
Yeah, so that sort of sums it up for me. Quite excited about it, and it was a good personal journey.
Wonderful. Great. So give yourself some homework. Is that everyone? Yeah. Okay. Next week, Charlie will be facilitating the container. Thank you, Charlie. No.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Cool. Charlie will be facilitating and Damien will be supporting him. Just because
yeah.
yeah, we'll give two staunch 12 steppers. We'll hand you over to the proper people. I'm joking, people. I'm joking. Relax. All right, everyone. thank you all very much. Are we all good to check out? So when you're ready, just pop. Who just jumped off? I got all self-conscious there.
I'm going to check out quickly because I've got a therapy session that I need to drive to.
Okay.
Today's been really informative and I've really enjoyed it. Thank you. See you later, everybody.
Bye, Zoe. I
Bye-bye.
check out with Joy.
Bye, David. Bye, Zoe.
So when you're ready to check out, just say.
I'm checking out with gratitude.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
Link container.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
Is that everyone?
I'm checking out energized.
Energized?
Yeah, okay, checking out, feeling grateful.
Grateful?
Yeah, checking out, feeling good.
I'm checking out, feeling like I've had to do some work today, and that feels good. Stuff to process. And also I'm ready to begin my certification process. So David, I'm going to contact you when we're finished.
Great. So stick around now. We'll keep the call open. Great.
Bye, guys.
Nick, did you check out?
I think I got drowned out. Yeah, I'm checking out with quite a lot of optimism. Well, thank you all for your company today. It's been great.
Right. Bye, Nick and Jamal.
Checking out, feeling great and feeling like I've learned some stuff as well today. So grateful for that. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, is that everyone?
Oh, checking out, feeling reflective and with love.
Oh. All right. Bye, everyone. Damien, you stay on the
Bye.
call.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Let me just stop the recording.